silly guy.
Yes, yes. Ed, as you know, it can be very difficult to do interviews for a foreign country.
You have to be very careful not to offend anybody.
Now, of course, the reason is obvious. There are a lot of cultural differences, traditions, things you have to be careful of, things that are different from our own. You've gone through that sort of
Oh,
thing.
sure. When I lived in New York, once I was interviewed by the press from New Jersey.
Culture shock of the first order. But, you know, cultural differences are what we base this next practical joke on, and the victim is that terrific actor, Mr. Ned Beatty. He's made a lot of great movies.
Oh, sure has. I loved him in Silver Streak. He was terrific in that.
Of course, he was in Network.
Yeah.
And he played Luthor's assistant in Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And a nice man, too. Yeah. He certainly wouldn't want to offend anybody of any culture.
And he proves that point in this joke. Now, the things we put that poor man through, all in the name of cultural courtesy.
The victim, Ned Beatty. He's recently finished shooting a movie in Scotland. He thinks he's being interviewed by the British press.
Accomplice number one, Phil Palladino, Ned's publicist. Now, he's told Ned that several BBC reporters are in Los Angeles and they all want an interview.
Accomplice number two, Ward Grant. He works in the same publicity office as Phil Palladino, and he helped set up Ned for this joke. Now, this is the soundstage where our interview will take place.
Now, you'll notice that the palm trees and the ocean blue backdrop there are being set up. That's because Ned's been told that this particular interview is going to be broadcast to the Cabot Islands, a chain of islands off the coast of Australia. Well, they don't exist, by the way. We made them up.
Now, there's Ned in the jacket and tie, accompanied by our two accomplices. He's now going to meet our phony BBC interviewer, Derek Partridge.
Now, you can see Ned looking around at the South Sea Islands props. He has no idea what's in store for him.
I usually don't use any.
You don't?
Now, these are the accomplices looking on.
Tape's rolling?
Okay, let's go. Mr. Beatty, you've been in some... Darn it. Cut. Hold tape, Rick. I'm sorry. I do this so many times I've forgotten to brief on a couple of rather unusual things. The audience we are aiming this program at is not terribly sophisticated. It's an island audience, and they use certain rather, to our minds, exaggerated hand gestures in their language. And we've had to adapt and modify some of these gestures in our television presentation. Now, the first thing which they do, the islanders wear brightly colored headscarves, which are rather like, you know, our use of a hat.
Right.
And when they greet each other, they take the scarf off and they just wave it. It's like our thing about shaking hands, they just wave the little headscarf. When we start, if you'd just like to just wave that brief at the camera, it's just a sign of friendship. Then there's a couple of other things. When there's something that they really like, they just do this with their hand, just a very simple gesture to the right with the right hand. Okay. Now, you also might be familiar with, throughout the Pacific, the cowrie shell is used as currency. Yeah. Now, when there's something they very, very strongly disagree with, they use their cowrie shells, not as large as these, we have to exaggerate them for television, and they just do like this. So if it's something that you very strongly disagree with, we have to use these kind of visual images to help them, because English is their second language. So if you'd like to sort of keep those in your left hand. And
this is for disagreeing.
This is for strong disagreement. Agreement is just sort of, I guess we call it a chopping gesture.
What happens if you do this and this at the same time?
It means you strongly disagree with the fact that you're welcoming them, which would confuse them totally. And we're having a hard enough time dragging them into the 20th century.
All right.
Rick, we ready?
Yes, we're rolling tape now.
Okay. All right, Mr. Beatty, if you'd just like to greet our viewers just by just a brief little wave with that. That's fine. Mr. Beatty, you've been in so many movies and so many television projects. Which are your favorite projects that you can remember, you really have good memories about?
Two of my favorites are children's shows, actually, I guess that you could say. One was an ABC afternoon special that I was in called Little Henry and the Polka Dot Kid. Not many people remember it, but it won an Emmy.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's one thing. Our open hand gesture is something which to them, I'm afraid, is a little bit rude, so that's something we must try to avoid. Sorry about that. Don't worry, we'll just keep the tape running, we'll edit that one out. How about Superman and Pompeii? What sort of memories do you have from them?
Superman and Pompeii?
Were they fun?
They were...
Definitely not fun? Oh, dear.
No, Superman was a great deal of fun, and Last Day at Pompeii were a great deal of fun because we were filming in England, and I found that I enjoyed being in England a great deal.
When you enjoy something a great deal, that's when you do that with the hand.
Oh,
Something enthusiastic like this.
I enjoyed both these films.
You mentioned the interest in
Remember, Ned's
children.
been told that
And
several
you like doing this.
BBC reporters wanted to interview him. Now, watch
Apologize for being
this.
so late, Mr. Beatty. Neil Hunt,
Hi,
BBC.
Neil.
Sorry.
Rick, cut tape on that. Excuse me, sir, what are you doing? You just walked into the middle of an interview.
Interview? Well, I'm here to do an interview. Sorry, BBC?
Yes. Look, can't you see we have cameras? Mr. Beatty's in the middle of an interview. This is...
Well,
You guys go right ahead, huh?
I'm sorry, Mr. Beatty.
I'm sorry, excuse me.
I don't know. Do you have
You
any
from the
idea?
ID? Yes, I do, certainly.
Maybe
Yes,
maybe
I
we
do
can
have
kill
that.
2 birds with 1 stone. Do your guys...
Excuse me, Mr. Beatty. John Francis from the BBC.
Hi, John. How are you?
BBC.
Yes, John Francis, BBC Telecentre.
Derek Partridge, BBC.
BBC?
Yes, me. You are too?
Yes,
Neil
Television
Hunt.
Centre Wood Lane.
Gentlemen, you have both just walked into an interview which is in progress. I don't
No, I've just
understand
come
this.
and given him to you, actually. Mr.
Look,
Beatty, in
do
the
you
Fiji
have an
Islands.
ID too? Excuse me, this is ridiculous. Just ask me for my ID. Here it is, BBC. Do you have the same?
Yours?
Oh, this is ridiculous. We can't all be here at the same time for an interview. Really.
You must take care.
It's obviously been a mistake. I'm terribly sorry to inconvenience you in this way. This is ridiculous.
Look, it seems to me we have 4 choices here, Mr. Beatty, okay? Either you'd like to be interviewed right now or continue your interview with the Cabo Islands, or perhaps I could interview you for the Solomon Islands, or this gentleman, maybe we could deal with the Fiji Islands. And then
Here it
actually we
comes.
have a 4th choice, TV, bloopers and practical jokes.
We got you, Ned.
Oh, did we?
He's looking for his 2 accomplices now.
Oh, yeah, his trusted publicity man.
This wasn't quite the kind of publicity Ned was expecting.